Welcome back, champions. Today we are going to unravel a lesson that holds the power to transform how we see ourselves and others, the Stoic approach to handling criticism. In this journey, we'll uncover the ancient wisdom that teaches us how to rise above the sting of judgment and use it as fuel for growth. As we walk through this, you'll come to see criticism not as a threat, but as an opportunity, an invitation to sharpen your mind, strengthen your character, and find clarity on your path. Criticism, whether subtle or harsh, follows us like a shadow. It lingers in our minds, echoing through our thoughts, shaping how we see ourselves. But the truth is, we cannot control what others think or say about us. We can only control how we respond to it. And in that response, we reveal the strength of our character. This, my friends, is where Stoicism steps in. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot let the opinions of others define us. We cannot let their words shape our identity. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "If anyone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone. The harm is in persisting in one's self-deception and ignorance." Notice the calm confidence in these words. He wasn't afraid of being wrong or receiving criticism. Instead, he welcomed it. He was a seeker of truth, even if that truth came wrapped in judgment. Criticism will always come. It is a part of life. But how we handle it, how we choose to see it, determines whether we rise or fall. The Stoics believed in controlling what is within our power, and that is our mindset, our perception, and our reaction. When we face criticism, the first thing we must do is take a breath. In that moment of stillness, we remember Epictetus's wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In that gap between the words spoken to us and our response lies our power. We can either react with defensiveness, letting the words sting us, or we can choose to reflect and grow. Let us not be like fragile glass, shattering at the touch of criticism. Instead, let us be like the rock in the sea, unmovable by the waves. As Seneca, another Stoic sage, advised, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The reality is that most criticism is not a personal attack. It's an opinion, a reflection of the critic's own perspective and limitations. When we internalize criticism, we give it power. We allow it to weaken us. But when we observe it from a distance, we take back that power. We can evaluate it for its truth and decide how to use it. To grow from criticism, we must first understand that not all criticism is equal. Some feedback is valuable. It reveals our blind spots, pushes us toward improvement, and helps us see things we couldn't on our own. However, there is also baseless criticism, born from envy or ignorance. The Stoics believed in the importance of distinguishing between the two. And how do we do this? By remaining anchored in our own values and purpose. We must not be swayed by every passing opinion. As Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. You see, growth often demands that we endure the discomfort of being misunderstood, criticized, or even ridiculed. This is where resilience comes in. Criticism tests our resilience, and true Stoics embrace that test. They do not shrink from it. In fact, they thrive in it, for they know that hardship, adversity, and even criticism are the fires that forge greatness. Imagine the sculptor chipping away at the stone. Every strike seems harsh, yet with each blow, a masterpiece emerges. So too must we allow criticism to shape us, but only if we are discerning enough to recognize which strikes to accept and which to ignore. When you stand firm in your values, when you are clear about what you are and what you stand for, the noise of criticism fades into the background. The Stoic path is not about seeking validation, but about standing in truth, no matter how uncomfortable that might feel at times. When we allow ourselves to rely too heavily on the opinions of others, we hand over the reins of our self-worth. But the moment we shift our gaze inward, focusing on what truly matters, we reclaim control. Criticism loses its power over us because we are no longer dependent on approval. In the teachings of 𝐷𝐞𝐥𝐢𝐧, the founder of Stoicism, we find the idea that the ultimate aim of life is to live in harmony with nature, and that includes accepting both praise and criticism as natural occurrences. Zeno taught that neither praise nor criticism should sway us from our course. Both are fleeting and external, but our internal state, that is something we can cultivate, shape, and nurture. When we realize that external feedback is transient and often superficial, we become immune to its influence. We learn to walk our path with steady feet, unshaken by the applause or the criticism from the crowd. At the core of the Stoic approach to handling criticism is the principle of apatheia, a state of being where we are free from the passions that disturb our peace of mind. This is not about being indifferent to the world, but rather about maintaining our tranquility regardless of what happens around us. Criticism may come, but it does not disrupt the calm within. We remain centered, focused, and grounded in what we know to be true. This internal stability is what allows us to face any feedback without fear or defensiveness. And let us not forget, true growth requires discomfort. If we surround ourselves only with praise, we stagnate. It is through the challenges of criticism that we are given the opportunity to reflect, refine, and recalibrate. It may sting, but that sting is temporary, and the lessons learned are lasting. So welcome criticism not as an enemy, but as a guidepost, a signal that there is still room to improve, to grow, to become better. As long as we remain open to learning, we are never defeated by criticism. Instead, we are propelled forward by it. Here's the key. When you receive criticism, listen carefully, but don't let it pierce your soul. Ask yourself, does this feedback hold truth? Is there something I can learn here? If the answer is yes, embrace it. Use it to grow, to refine your character, to sharpen your skills. But if the criticism is baseless, if it comes from a place of malice or misunderstanding, let it fall away like rain off your shoulders. Do not let it settle in your heart. The Stoics understood that life is not about seeking approval or avoiding disapproval. Life is about aligning with our highest values, regardless of what others may say. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the crux of Stoicism, understanding that we control how we interpret and respond to the world around us, even when the world throws its harshest criticisms our way. Imagine standing tall, unshaken by the words of others, because you know who you are and what you stand for. That is the power Stoicism grants us. It is the power to be unmoved by fleeting judgments, to walk our path with clarity and conviction, knowing that the only approval we need is our own. This is not an easy journey. It requires strength, it requires discipline, but the rewards are immense. When we master our response to criticism, we free ourselves from the chains of external validation. We become the architects of our own destiny. We no longer live for the applause or fear of the boos. We live for something higher, for purpose, for truth, for mastery over ourselves. As we wrap up today's message, remember this: criticism is not your enemy. It is a tool that, if used wisely, can chisel you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. But like any tool, it must be handled with care. Use it to cut away the unnecessary, to smooth the rough edges, but never let it break you. Criticism is like a reflection in a mirror, sometimes clear, sometimes distorted. The clarity depends not only on the source, but also on how we choose to see it. When criticism reflects truth, we must not shy away from it. We must stare into that mirror and face ourselves honestly. And when it distorts reality, we must have the wisdom to see through the illusion separating fact from falsehood. By mastering this balance, we grow stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more aligned with our true selves. There is a quiet strength in not reacting impulsively to criticism. By delaying our response, we give ourselves time to process, to reflect, and to decide how we want to engage with the feedback. This pause is where wisdom resides. The Stoics often spoke of this gap between stimulus and response, the space where we can choose our reaction. In that moment of stillness, we decide whether we will be a victim to the criticism or a master of our own mind. Criticism, in its essence, can be a doorway to self-discovery. When we strip away the emotional charge and view it objectively, we often find lessons we hadn't seen before. It may be uncomfortable to confront, but discomfort is the precursor to growth. The Stoic way is to embrace this discomfort, knowing that each trial sharpens us. Like a sword forged in fire, we come out of criticism sharper, more focused, and prepared for the battles ahead. If today's lesson resonated with you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you're actively choosing to fill your mind with content that fuels growth, insight, and wisdom. Be sure to check out our other videos, where we explore deeper teachings that will help you master every aspect of your life. Until next time, champions, stay strong and stay committed to your path.